Hey guys, it's History Behind the Warrior, and welcome to yet another Mortal Kombat video. Now today, I'm very happy to bring you some new news regarding the sequel to Scorpion's Revenge, titled Mortal Kombat Legends Battle of the Realms. Now, before we get into the finer details of this film, let's have a quick recap of what exactly was the first film about, and what we can expect to see in its sequel, its cast, who will be portraying characters, and how do I think this movie will unfold. Now first things first, let's talk about Scorpion's Revenge. Now, from what you can tell in the title, Scorpion's Revenge was of course very heavily focused around the series poster boy, Scorpion. There was a very heavy emphasis on his revenge arc and his disdain towards Sub-Zero. So we in turn did see the fall of the Shira Ryu, his transformation from Hanzo Hasashi to Scorpion, courtesy of the Necromancer Quan Chi, his participation in the first tournament, the death of Bi-Han, and revenge against Quan Chi, as he was of course the main perpetrator. Now with this said, from what you can tell, there was a very heavy emphasis on the character, more so to the point where Scorpion took main priority over the main cast of characters, that of course being Sonya, Liu Kang, and Johnny Cage. With this said, Scorpion's Revenge acted as more of a reinterpretation of the first tournament than really a true adaptation. In fact, the movie itself bears a lot of similarities to that of the 1995 film, of how things kind of unfold with a modern day twist, and of course the insertion of Scorpion as the main somewhat anti-hero protagonist. It's a pretty damn good movie, so for those of you who haven't seen it, please do so, as it is actually quite good. Now the movie does end with a cliffhanger, and what's quite interesting here is how it somewhat portrays Liu Kang's destiny. Whilst unsuccessful in defeating Goro, it seems like this is the phase where he's sculpted to become Earthrealm's champion, and the person who is destined to defeat Shao Kahn. Might I remind you, this title is called Battle of the Realms, so there won't be as much of a heavy emphasis on one character. Now again, another thing I want to point out is that the film leaves with the cliffhanger of Scorpion seemingly perishing as Shang Tsung's island does fall apart. But as you'll quickly see, it does seem like he isn't quite done yet. Now, as of right now, these are the confirmed characters that will actually feature in Battle of the Realms. We have Johnny Cage, Sonya Blade, Liu Kang, Scorpion, Cyrax, Shinnok, Reiko, Sector, Kintaro, Raiden, Jax, the One Being, Kitana, Melina, Shao Kahn, Smoke, Striker, Sub-Zero, Kung Lao, and Devora. That's a lot of characters, holy shit. So from what you can obviously tell, Battle of the Realms is going to be a stacked cast of characters with many well-renowned fan-known favorites. But what really catches my eye here is actually the use of Shinnok, Reiko, and the One Being. Now for those of you who don't know, Reiko does have ties to the fallen Elder God Shinnok, which does surprise me here as he is included amongst the cast. This was a character that would appear and attack post Shao Kahn's failure in MK3, as the character was biding his time. So I do suspect we are going to get a flashback sequence here, because there is a mention of the One Being, an entity that we have only ever actually seen at the end of Shinnok's arcade ladder ending in MKX. Outside of this, we've never truly seen the One Being's actual body, so I'm intrigued to see how this all does unfold. With that said, who is the talent amongst the characters here? Well, for my research, basically the entire cast from the first film is returning, and along with this, they still will be retaining the same director, screenwriters, and producers. What's a really nice touch here is that they even have Ed Boon on the project as a creative consultant. So what a better way to make an MK film than have one of the creative minds that made it. So with that said, we have Joe McHale playing Johnny Cage, Jennifer Carpenter playing Sonya, we have Jordan Rodriguez playing Liu Kang, Patrick Seitz back as Scorpion, and Art Butler as Shang Tsung. He will be playing an additional role, that being Cyrax. Robin Atkin Downs will be portraying Shinnok and Reiko, Dave B. Mitchell is back as Raiden, but will also be portraying Kintaro and Sector. I'm probably going to pronounce this wrong, but Ike Amadi will now be portraying Jax, who will more than likely be fully decked out in his cybernetic arms, but Amadi will also be portraying the One Being. Along with this, Grey Griffin will be doing work for Kitana, Satoshi, and Melina, and Fred Tadascore as Shao Kahn. But it doesn't quite end there, as there are some new cast members. characters, with Matthew Mercer portraying Stryker and Smoke, Bayardo de Maguire as Kuai Liang Sub-Zero, Matt Yang King as Kung Lao, Paul Nakochi as the Lin Kuei Grandmaster, Emily O'Brien as Jade, and Deborah Wilson as Devora. So yes, this is a really stacked cast of talent, and I'm very excited for this project. They are juggling a lot of ideas here, which is probably my only worry, as understandably there's a lot of expectations to live up to. But with the cast here and the characters we're gonna see, I know I'm probably going to have a good time regardless. I'm just intrigued to see what Battle of the Realms actually holds from a storytelling standpoint, because whilst the talent is there, from what we saw of Scorpion's Revenge, is that they're not scared to reimagine the events of this series. And with how the cast is laid out, the characters we do have at hand, I'm somewhat predicting that Battle of the Realms will more than likely be a bit of a mishmash of Mortal Kombat 2 and 3. They're incorporating ideas from all ages, but there is an extremely heavy emphasis of characters from the first 3 games. Of course, with the first tournament out the way, we're now seeing characters like Jax, Cyrax, Sector, Smoke, Kintaro, Shao Kahn, and the main female ninja trio. So I'm intrigued to see how this all does pan out, and whether or not there will be an emphasis on the inclusion of Kuai Liang, because whilst Bi-Han wasn't very present in the first film, he still was an integral part of Scorpion's story, and that character is returning, despite his character arc kind of being done here. So there has to be a reason for his return, and the extreme heavy emphasis we do have on members of the Lin Kuei. Just my big question now is whether or not there'll be a heavy emphasis on the Cyber Initiative, because we don't actually know if they're gonna mishmash 2 and 3 together. That's just a guesstimation on my part. This could simply be a retelling of MK2, as we don't have Shiva and Motaro amongst the cast. I don't know how this is gonna pan out, but what I will say is that I'm thrilled with what we do have going on here. With this many characters on the screen, it does make the tournament feel like a tournament, and makes things interesting in that respect, as it's filled with characters we do recognize. My only real concern here is how they handle each individual character, because let's face it, we gotta be honest here, they're not gonna get around to every member of the cast. This isn't Zack Snyder's Justice League, they don't have 4 hours at hand. I'm hoping that unlike the first film, they have a bit of a longer runtime, because you really felt the end of Scorpion's Revenge, as the pace really did give itself a kick up the arse, and it did feel a little bit rushed at the end. It's not the worst thing in the world, but I do feel like the payoff could have been more satisfactory had they been given probably 15 or 20 more minutes. I know animation's hard, so I'm not going to ask too much from them, but a longer runtime with this many characters is definitely beneficial. Now with this said, that's what I'm expecting from this film. Nothing is solid in stone just yet, as we don't even have a trailer out. But if I was to guess when we were getting one, I'd honestly say probably in a few months. Much like Scorpion's Revenge, the announcement for that film as well as this one kind of came out of nowhere, so I wouldn't at all be surprised if the film as of making this video is in post-production and ready to go very soon. We're just waiting on a trailer and a release date as of right now, but I'm very excited for what the future holds for this film and what comes next for the Mortal Kombat Legends series, as honestly, whilst yes it is focusing on the first 2 games, possibly 3, the Legends series could really work as an anthology series and follow up the backgrounds and stories of other characters in the series that we might not see very much. It's a great way of storytelling and way to expand on a character's background and give them a modern day movie. As someone who liked the most recent MK movie and enjoyed the animated movie, honestly, in my heart of hearts, I think that the Mortal Kombat series works better as an animated series. There's less restraint on the things you can do, and on top of this, you can do a lot of things stylistically to add emphasis to certain scenes, something we did see a lot in Scorpion's Revenge, with a heavy emphasis on X-ray moves. That was one of my favorite aspects of that movie. In fact, the entire opening sequence of Hanzo's village being killed is really well done. It transitions between the film's normal art style to ones of brash red and hard strokes that really do emphasize particular scenes very well. It's why I think that going forward, the animated series might be the right way to go. There's just a lot you can do about it without having to be worried about your own limitations, violence and trying to appease everyone, which is definitely something that the 2021 movie unfortunately did try to attempt, with obviously a mixed reception from fans. Either way, I enjoyed both, but I would like to see more from the Mortal Kombat Legends series. Now, with that said, this has been it for everything we currently know about Mortal Kombat Legends Battle of the Realms. Now, what do you actually think of this? Are you excited? Who are you the most thrilled to see in the trailer? Please do comment down below. I'm really excited to see what this project does bring to the table and how things are gonna unfold, because they're juggling a lot of ideas, and yeah, I know I'm being very realistic with how I'm seeing this, but I'm not complaining about more Mortal Kombat. I'm just very excited to see how it all unfolds. But until then, that has been it for me. Please do not forget to tick that bell and subscribe, as I will be keeping you up to date with this movie. But until then, that has been it for me. So now, as always guys, please comment, like, subscribe, and share this video with everyone you know. Please take care, and I will see you all next time.